This week on Deep Space Pride, we catch up on a lot of episodes of Discovery and a little bit of news. Thanks for joining us. Happy Sunday, Johnson. How are you today?
I'm doing okay, Mike. How are you doing on this
Oh,
chilly, rainy Sunday?
oh, you're just doing okay. Usually you bring more energy than that.
Am I?
Um,
Wait, what do I say? Do I say I'm doing great? Do I
no,
ever
you
say
never say
that?
great. You're like, you never say okay, but no,
Wait,
no,
what do I usually
it's
say?
okay.
Fine?
It's
I'm usually
fine. It's
fine.
usually yes, you're fine. Your baseline is fine. So
I think
okay
fine,
feels
okay are
like
interchangeable. I think
okay.
I think
Sure.
they're pretty much the same. I'm doing
Yes.
fine slash okay.
Fine slash okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to
Why?
hear.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I've had a good Sunday. Yeah,
Okay.
despite the cold, I got out before the rain and
Okay.
picked up a few things at the store so I could make breakfast and yeah, just
Okay.
been doing some stuff around the house. Made some brownies because I was craving brownies
Oh.
and yeah, doing house chores really. And
Did
then
you get new glasses? Are these new?
no, these are reading glasses because
Oh.
I've got a second screen over here with the episodes handy just as a reference for our discussion of four huge episodes.
I
So,
know. It's been a
um,
while since we recorded, unfortunately.
yeah.
Just
Yeah,
life
I mean,
mm-hmm.
between being off for a mandatory week and then or Trek Geeks taking a week off, and then you were traveling
I was
and
traveling or
you were
something,
traveling,
and then
and then
you
I
were
had a
you
really
were
busy week at
swamped.
work.
You were swamped for like two
Yes, I was
weeks.
swamped. Yeah, yeah, it's been life has been very busy lately, so it was nice to
Yeah.
just have a um, easygoing Sunday where I could just chill out. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Did you do anything fun this weekend?
uh, not a lot. I mean, I had dinner with some friends last night, and
Wait, who? Who are these
what do you
people?
mean? Wait, who?
Wait, no, I want to
Friends,
know.
friends.
Anyone I know?
Maybe, maybe
Oh,
not.
maybe not.
So defensive that I have other friends that I might go to
No, I
dinner
was just like, I was
with.
just curious. Curious. I
Um,
want to know.
yeah, so that was about it. Although this Friday night I did imbibe some margaritas that made me a little um tipsy. So
Of
yes, which was
course.
good. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you and
Uh,
Dennis are going to what, Mexico later this month? Is that right?
yeah, we'll be in Mexico City in 2 weeks. We go to Playa de Carmen in, 10 days or so, something like that. So yeah.
Fun. Are you
Yes,
excited?
we have a wedding to go to and then a little side vacation in Mexico City afterwards. So yeah, excited to be off from work. I'm like 90% sure I'm not going to take my laptop. So
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I've warned work, made sure everyone knows that I will be gone, and I get almost 2 weeks off because the way the vacation runs into Memorial Day weekend. So,
All right. Oh my God. I can't believe Memorial Day is here. Summer's basically over.
well, I mean, today is May the 5th, so Revenge of the Fifth, as the Star Wars fans would say.
Oh, I didn't even
Yesterday
realize
was
that
May
was a
the
thing.
4th be with
That I
you.
know. That I know. Yes.
Yes.
I
So,
didn't realize
as
May the
someone who
5th
likes
was also
multiple
a thing.
genres, not just Star Trek, that was pretty cool.
I
So,
didn't realize that May the 5th is also a thing.
I think it's just to continue and also fifth, sixth, that sort of play on words.
Yeah, I know, understand, and comprehend.
Okay. Well, I'm
Yeah.
just not sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I just
Um,
never realized it was a thing. Okay.
Yeah, there's not a lot. I mean, it's mostly the fourth. May the fourth.
Right. Yeah.
You
Which
know, I mean,
honestly,
I mean, they know how to do May the Fourth. Unlike other franchises who
I know.
who do not do First Contact Day well or
I know.
Star Trek Anniversary Day well. Yes, there could be some notes taken from said examples,
Well, I
but
think that part of it needs to, I mean, I think May the 4th has also been very fan driven. It's not necessarily like, oh, the brand, obviously the brand makes a thing out of it, but I think
oh
it's
yeah,
very like even like corporations get onto it. I just don't think, Star Trek has the same cachet, as Star Wars
yeah,
does and
maybe,
the same kind of mainline attraction. Like I don't
yeah,
anticipate,
no.
corporations like jumping in on, First Contact Day like ever.
Oh, I'm not even talking about that. I was thinking like, so yesterday they released a trailer for The Acolyte, which is their new
Right.
series starting in a month,
Yeah.
and which is a pretty big deal. It's like a meaty trailer too. And
Sure.
then they
Yeah, I was.
also
Yeah.
released the Tales of the Empire, a six
hmm
episode animated shorts. And
hmm
also this past week was the finale of The Bad Batch. So, it just, I think they planned it out a little bit
hmm
more closely. And I think, the namesake of this podcast franchise could take some notes. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
so
I
what
did
did
like the
you?
Acolyte trailer.
Oh,
I did
okay,
watch that
okay,
trailer. Yeah. I thought it was
yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah, it was really good. The end of the trailer is very interesting.
I didn't realize. So, what's his name from? I can't pronounce his name, nor do I recall it. The guy from Squid Game was in the Acolyte.
Yeah,
He was a main in Squid Game. He's the
I can't.
Asian Jedi Master. I don't know his name. So sad.
Okay. Well, there are several Asian people in this show, which is great.
But he learned English for this role.
Oh,
I was like, oh, that's so cool. That's interesting.
wow,
So,
that is
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm
good
more
for him.
interested in the red-bladed individual at the end of the trailer. That's really interesting. That
Oh
is
yeah,
something we have
is
not
that?
seen before, or someone we've not seen before. So
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
yeah,
But
but this is not a Star Wars podcast. This is a Star Trek podcast.
I mean,
So
we talk about like other
we do, yeah, yeah, yeah.
other series. Like we
No,
talked
no,
about
no,
One
no. I
Day
mean,
last time.
no, no. I mean, if this were a Star Wars podcast, I would be like, oh, it was Darth so and so. But I have no
Wait, do you
idea
have
who.
a theory as to who it is?
Oh no, no, I have no idea who it is. I'm sure,
Okay.
yeah. I listened to one or two other Star Trek podcast, Star Wars podcast rather, and I have not heard from their perspective on the trailer yet.
Oh,
So,
interesting. Okay. All right.
so that's actually where I get my information from more experts in that realm. So
I see.
yeah.
Got it.
So anyway, anything else you've been watching, partaking of
Oh,
lately?
like TV and movies and such. Oh, I went to see Civil War. I told you about that.
Oh, right. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, which I
yes.
actually thought was really good.
Oh,
I think that they marketed it in a very obviously specific way, but it ended up being, it felt like a very indie movie, and it was really more of a character study of sorts. I thought it was really good. It was really, really well done. And I liked it more than I thought I would. So it was, I mentioned this to you though, it was a very stressful 2 hours. Like there was just like a very, it's like a war movie. Like there is a war movie aspect to it.
yeah,
So it
sure.
was just like it was very, very tense.
Yeah, no,
But it
no
was really,
interest in.
really, really well done.
Okay,
So
that's good.
and then what else have I been seeing or watching? I started watching the Dead Boy Detective Agency.
I've watched one
Uh
episode of that so
Yeah,
far.
which is okay. I mean, it's enjoyable. It's like
Yeah.
a kind of Neil Gaiman kind of Sandman
hmm
universe.
Right.
extension kind of a series, and it's
Yep.
magical. The two leads are kind of cute, like
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So it's British, so there's these
Exactly.
things that are appealing about it. So
Yeah.
I just started that. I'm not too deep into it yet. I think yeah, it's just like one episode. I'm trying
I
to
am
think what
almost
else.
I
What?
am 6 episodes into Three Body Problems. I've got two more to go.
Oh wow, you are like trudging through it, and
Yeah,
it's
it
been a
takes a
while.
certain mental and energy to go through that. So
I mean,
um
and it also the thing is, the last few episodes it slows down. Like I feel like the climax in terms of
oh great.
storytelling and plot and narrative like plot in terms of driving things forward is around episode 5. But
Oh
then
great.
it really slows down and then it's kind of setting things up for the next season. So I
No.
actually have issues with the pacing. But wow, it's been a while. I mean, we were talking about Three Body Problem last time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I go away from it, come back to it, whatever. I watch things that whatever my mood pertains. Like today, while I was doing chores, I was watching some Babylon 5. So,
Hmm.
um, it just depends on whether. So here's my thought on Three Body Problem is that I actually need to pay attention. Like I can't,
Right,
I have to be like present for it and be willing to sit there and engage
right,
solidly for the time. And
right.
so that's a problem with that show. It's not like frivolous and like if I miss something, it's not no big deal. Like in Dead Boys Detective Agency or whatever. But you
Is
know,
that how you're Star Trek 2? You're just like multitasking usually?
no. So I mean, I've been watching the episodes at least twice.
Oh, okay.
Once on the screener and once on the um
Paramount Plus.
once Paramount Plus. Yes.
Hmm.
So there's that. Yeah. Um yeah, because we don't have the closed captioning, so that's really helpful um to catch up on like little details and yeah. And yeah, and actually, now that we can sort of segue into Star Trek Discovery a little bit, I am really enjoying this season. So I'm sort of like really engaged with it, and yeah,
Yeah.
I
Wait, are we gonna talk about news too, or are we just going to
oh
have like
yeah, I guess yeah, I mean yeah. All right, so yeah, let's talk about the couple of news things that um came up. The big one I think everyone on the internet is disappointed with is that Lower Decks was is canceled after 5 seasons. So
yeah. You were definitely
uh,
more surprised about it than I was, only because I
yes,
read interviews. So Mike McMahon had already been kind of dropping, I think she was dropping reservations back last fall that whether or not it was even gonna be more than 5 seasons. So
yeah.
I was already kind of like mentally like, okay, like it might be 5 seasons might just be a thing. So I think when you saw the news, you were much angrier, and I had already been like, this
Oh,
is
I
not
was
surprising.
angry. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was definitely angry about this. Yeah.
But I'm just
Um,
not surprised. I think of all the turmoil at Paramount Plus, is Paramount Plus even still gonna, no, rather Paramount, is Paramount
hmm.
Plus even gonna still be a thing? Like, like there's just so much uncertainty with Paramount. I just think that
Yeah.
wherever they can cut money, they are.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know it's a business, and I just think it sucks because I think it's one of the best parts about the Star Trek franchise right now is Lower Decks.
Mm,
I mean, it's
yeah.
it's been around. I mean, this it's been around for 4 years. It's coming up on
Mm,
its fifth anniversary, and it's just a really enjoyable piece that you can just jump into any episode. Like you could just pick a random episode and just watch it and enjoy, and it's got very much that kind of vibe to
hmm.
it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just it's having faith in these leaders at Paramount is just really challenging.
Well, they added their CEO, right? So there's no CEO right now.
Oh yeah, I did. So yeah, I mean, he got $50 million. I mean,
Yes,
sure,
he
okay.
did. He got a
He's,
pinnacle and parachute. Um,
so I'm not too worried about that person. I was going to
oh
use
no, it's
other
not
names
him. I
for.
think it's more just that there's no leadership, right? There really isn't anyone kind of steering the future at Paramount at the moment. So, let alone, I mean, Star Trek's one of their IPs. I don't know. I feel they have bigger fish to fry if I was in the boardroom trying to figure out like, what to do about the company.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not a company that I would say has had strong direction to begin with. So
Hmm.
the fact that
No.
they don't have a CEO anymore, it really doesn't like phase me in the least. But I guess it
Sure.
does because you sent me the link that the talks said, or you sent me a thing that said the talks had broken down. Shocking that
Yeah,
the
no.
talks broke down as well. I mean, all of these things just point to really poor leadership on their part.
Yeah.
I think it's an overall thing. I mean, I wish there was a way for Star Trek to be spun out onto its own entity and or
Well,
some way.
if they sell the IP for parts, like they sell like all Paramount's IPs and someone else may very well own Star Trek next year. Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a mess. It's just hopefully we still have some Star Trek. I mean, obviously we know that Section 31's gonna come out sometime this year, I think, right? Section 31's gonna come out, I
I mean,
think.
they just finished filming, so I don't think
Yeah,
that
maybe
they're gonna,
not. Maybe
yeah, I
not. I
think
don't
it's a
know.
25.
And we
Yeah.
know that we're getting Academy because, I mean, hopefully. But you never
Well,
know
they
these
just built a
days.
big set. They spent the money. They're gonna film on it.
So,
Um,
did they already build it? Did they already finish
I
building?
thought so.
I don't know.
Well, they did rename the studios up there as the Star
Mm-hmm.
Trek studio
The Star
or
Trek stage
whatever
or something.
stage. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's that. Yeah, but going back to Lower Decks, I'm really bummed about that, and I hope that
Yeah.
it finds another home that will keep it going. But on that same note, there is a save the date for everyone. They're encouraging everyone to do a streamathon of Lower Decks on May 25th. So I don't know what day that is. That's a Saturday, isn't it? I think.
I don't know.
So, um, so hopefully, maybe that will drive some attention to because you can, I mean, honestly, you can put on Paramount Plus and just hit play and like just let it keep on playing through all 4 seasons. So,
Does Paramount Plus autoplay? I don't even know.
uh,
Does it do the Netflix
yeah, it
thing?
does because
It
if
does?
you're done,
Okay.
if you're at the end of a show, it'll take you to the next show in your queue or
Okay.
whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't use Paramount Plus enough. I mean, obviously I do. I watch, but I don't let it just autoplay.
yeah. I mean, there's not
So
much else that I watch on there other than Star Trek, but um, yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Knuckles,
Halo. Oh, I don't even know why Knuckles. Knuckles. Oh, the thing that
The
the
Sonic
Sonic thing.
spinoff. Yep.
Um, yeah. So, all right. So let's encourage everyone to watch Lower Decks on May 25th. Stream that on Paramount Plus as much as you can. Leave it running all day. And yeah, let's see if that does anything. It probably won't, but
I don't think so. I'm like shaking my head. I don't think I'll do anything.
yeah,
But
no. Well, we'll give a lot of ad revenue to some
someone
someone. So maybe who
will it?
knows?
You pay for Paramount Plus, so you don't even see ads,
Don't I?
don't you? Do you? I don't think so. No, aren't you paying? Don't you have the ad free level?
I mean, I have the annual subscription, which I'm sort of mad at the fact that I did that. Now that all these, I should just do what everyone else does and like cancel it every couple of months when there's no new Star Trek or whatever.
Because yeah, you're not
But
watching it. I mean, I guess you have it so that you can stream the old stuff at any point.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So that's
So
kind of nice.
yeah, once in a while, yeah. I mean, I enjoy streaming I mean, I did a few weeks ago. I think I started restreaming season three of Picard. So there's that, and
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
watched The Chase. And now there's a
Uh-huh.
Breen episode that I need to go back and watch from Deep Space Nine.
I think
Um,
there are like a bunch of episodes where the Breen kind of show up after they.
yeah, there's one that they popped into their Instagram feed or whatever. It said,
Oh, okay. Well, there
yeah,
was that one I recall where it was like it was then they discovered that Martok was imprisoned or something like that, and then there
oh,
was also
maybe,
a
yeah.
Breen in the prison. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I mean, it's been a while, so I need
It's
to
been a
go back and
while. It's been a while.
yeah. So
I would
I
not
mean,
be
that's
ready to
probably.
go back on track sports right now. I just don't remember all this shit.
Oh yeah, no, no, no.
Yeah.
And speaking of which is why I have my iPad here open to all the pages for the episodes that we're about to talk about, right?
Oh yeah. I wouldn't
So,
remember
uh,
anything. Oh my
just
God.
you know, just sliding into Discovery. I wish they would just put the titles on the episodes on like after the title slide for Star Trek Discovery, and
Like
then
Picard season 3 did, or
yes,
what Lower Decks
yes.
does. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I wish they would just there's a place there for it because then when the Discovery swoops into the frame and then out of the frame, they show the writers and the director. So why not just put the title in there at the same time? I don't get it.
It's just not something they
They
have
have ever done.
adopted
I
for
know.
most of the new
In
series.
inexplicable reasons.
Oh yeah, I don't
Inexplicable.
know. I don't know. I mean, I
Well,
think they were.
anyway.
I think it's like how like Enterprise tried to decide to not have Star Trek in it for the first two seasons,
Oh
or what,
yeah.
it's like that. It's like
Yeah.
they're trying
Yeah.
to
Except
break
stupider.
away. What?
Except stupider.
Stupider.
Yeah. Oh, and then did you see that Michelle Yeoh got the Presidential Medal of Freedom
I
this past
did.
week,
I did see that. Yes.
along with Matthew Shepard's mom, which is really awesome.
Who's that?
Matthew Shepard was the boy who was killed in Montana 25 years ago. He's one of the first high profile
Oh.
so the Matthew Shepard Foundation, she founded the Matthew Shepard Foundation.
Okay. This sounds familiar
So
now.
yeah. So
Cool.
yeah, so she also got it, but our queen Michelle Yeoh also received it as well. So
Hmm.
kudos to her.
Yeah.
And was there any other major news? I'm trying to think if there's anything else I mean, the big thing was Lower Decks for me. I mean, I can't think of
I
anything
think that
else
was
that.
the biggest news item. I don't think any of the Paramount stuff is like new news. It's more status quo.
Yeah, status
I,
quo of this shit show.
yeah,
Yes,
essentially.
and yeah, that is Paramount, not that is Star Trek Discovery. That's not what I'm saying. So, yeah.
Yes,
All
that's
right. Well,
Paramount.
yes. Shall we talk about some Star Trek episodes? Because we have
Yeah, we
more
have
of
so
them
many
to
to
catch up on.
cover.
Yes,
We're
we
so
do.
behind.
We do. So let's first talk about episode three, Jinaal. What did you think of Jinaal?
I thought Janelle was fine. It wasn't my favorite episode. It was like I felt that like a lot of it actually. So I didn't love episodes 2 and 3 because and they both felt very similar. I think that I don't remember what you thought about episode 2, the one with like Saru and Michael on the planet, and they're like, trying to not
Oh,
get
right, right,
blown
yeah.
up.
Yep.
This is very similar. There's a whole sequence of like just it was Michael and Buck trying not to get blown. It was like almost exactly the same, except they were in a storm quarry versus like a forest. It was like this is literally like the same episode, and it's literally another like chase after the piece, or it was just like it
Mm-hmm.
was fine. Trill's very boring as a location. Like it's just like I wish they did something different. It's like okay, it's the cave in Stone Quarry again. We've seen this before. Like it's just like not very like interesting. I think plot wise, I mean there were a few things that were cool. Like I think the highlight for me in the episode was probably Culber, and I think that he did a great job, just kind of like his whole Jantaro experience. I thought that was like the best part. The rest of the episode, I was just like, whatever. It's very like just it felt like a repeat of the previous episode for me in many ways. And then we were talking about this before we started recording, but the the Adira, oh my God, the Adira and Gray breakup, it was just like whatever. They just had to, it was very just, they had to do it. It was a checkbox. It was like, okay, we resolve that now. The relationship's over. It's like almost like it was like marginally better than if I was to make a comparison. Neelix and Cass breaking up. It's like, okay, it kind of happened. We've moved on. They're dating other people now. Like it's just like I just feel Gray never really had a purpose on this show other than being an extension of Adira. And I'm gonna repeat myself. They made a big PR announcement. Oh, we're hiring a transgender person, and it was just like whatever. And it was just like it's fine. I just think checkbox checked. We're done. It's over. That relationship has ended, and we can move on with our lives. It's just whatever. It was like it was a fine. It was not the best episode for me. It was fine. Some highlights, mostly lowlights. I've moved on. So that's my TLDR for the episode. What did you think, Mike? What did you think?
Well, I did not think about it as a repeat of the previous episode, but now that you say that, I can totally see how that is. But I mean, honestly, Wilson Cruz's portrayal of Jinaal and that whole experience, I think, was definitely the best part about that episode.
Yes.
Hands
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
It was, and he did an amazing job with it, just from everything about, just that you could tell that he was playing a different character, like just
hmm
major acting chops were shown there. And from the behind the scenes stuff that I've heard about and read, like they were loving it. So
hmm
the rest of the cast and whatnot. So really kudos to him for that, because
hmm
that was the most enjoyable part. I think that
Absolutely. Yeah.
we've obviously seen this experience in Deep Space Nine, which was also a really memorable and really well done episode.
Very good. And
Yeah.
all the actors did a great job portraying other
Yes, their
people,
other
like other
selves.
personalities.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So he joins that cadre of really great actors in portraying that Trill takeover of spirit and mind. And I also really like, and this is, again, it ties back to, I think we've talked about this before, just our love of Deep Space Nine and the spiritual aspect of it. I think
hmm
that the questions that came out of this and go through the next several episodes with Culber about spirituality and everything is really great to see. It's really, especially given what Culber's been through. Um, you
Right. It
know,
makes sense.
so
I mean, I was interested because he was like, oh, there's really no scientific kind of explanation for the Jintara ritual. But I thought that was interesting because how many times has another consciousness basically possessed or taken over, someone else's body? It happens every series, potentially once a season. Like that there's no scientific explanation for how that happens or how transfer of consciousness happens. Like even having a prodigy most recently, like Janeway and Dow, like switch body. Like these are all potentially what you might call like spiritual experiences or soul
mhm.
switching or conscious switching. Like so. I'm
Yeah.
obviously using soul and conscious very interchangeably. They're not the same
Hmm.
thing. But it's just like, oh, it's what there's no scientific explanation for how this happens, like at all, at any point ever, or
Right.
I don't know, like it's kind of odd that I thought it was just odd that his reaction was like, "There's I don't have a scientific explanation for it." It just happens so frequently that it's almost like I feel it's disturbing that if there's no scientific explanation for when it happens outside
I
of
mean,
Shintara, outside it's not just
sure.
Shintara, it happens so frequently.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Jintara is a like process. Like it's
Right.
there's
There
a
is a
process
ritual
to,
to it.
yeah,
There's some
there's a
sort of
ritual to it.
process.
Yeah.
But, we've had plenty
Yeah.
of non-corporeal beings floating out there, which you could call
Yeah.
ghosts if you want to see a certain way, right? Like they are
Yes.
ghosts, and
Yep.
it's a disembodied consciousness. Yeah, I don't know,
Hmm.
like because they sometimes skirt the line between science and spirituality and magic, right? You can say it that way. I don't know. It just like raised some questions for me, which I'm now processing out loud, but it's I don't know. I thought that was an interesting observation.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I agree. It's a good point that it's done in all the series of Star Trek. But I had another thought about this episode too, and about the whole quarry scene. I think that
The what
that's
scene? Oh, the
actually
quarry scene. The quarry
the
scene.
quarry scene.
No.
That's actually for me when it. I think, from my perspective, the characters got that this is meant to be a challenge, like that this is not like something that they're just going to be handed to because of who they are. Like they have to work through these things
Mm-hmm.
and figure them out. And I kind of like this. It doesn't feel like a puzzle box to me. It just feels like a kind of like an Indiana Jones is the best, I think, example of this, like
Mm-hmm.
adventure for this. And although you get at times this, as we'll talk about in the next episode, this perspective of what happens if they don't find it or if someone else finds it. Um, you know, I think that it for me it makes this season kind of fun and exciting and different. And it's nice
Mm-hmm.
to not have the Discovery crew being running around trying to save the galaxy, although somewhat they are. But
We kind of are. And of course, Michael
uh,
needs to lead every away mission, but
he
that's fine.
does. Yes. Well,
Yes.
yes, she's the captain. But
Which is,
so I thought.
again, very much a reversal of protocol, but,
Right. Well,
it's fine.
of protocol during TNG era or
Dear more
whatever.
TNG. Well, I've been trying to think. Like,
Archer always did it. Kirk always did it. She's from, Michael is from the 22nd century, so it's sort of that carry on of that spirit. Like the captain
maybe,
kind of
yeah, I
does it.
guess so.
Even
Yeah.
Rayner is like that. Rayner is absolutely that kind of captain as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah. I'm not
um,
trying to think. I'm trying to think of how much sense it really makes, practically speaking, but it's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
It's
No,
fine.
yeah. I mean, it's not always the best policy, I guess.
Yeah, I'm trying military and naval policy. You wouldn't have the
That's
captain
a
or
good. Yeah, I don't know what
leading every
you know.
mission. That doesn't really make
Yeah,
sense,
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
fine.
But I like this that they're changing up the crewing of this, and
Hmm.
so I will. Do I mention it here? I don't know where in this season it's
Oh
happened,
wait,
but
wasn't this also the episode we had Saru and Tarina having issues? Like, wasn't
was it?
oh my
Probably, yeah,
God,
probably,
okay. It
yeah.
was like such an afterthought. Like it was just
This
like
was the episode where there were a lot of little
there
pieces,
were like
a lot of
five,
like
yeah, there were like five
BCD.
plots going
Yeah,
on. It was just like it was a
yeah,
mess. I thought it was a mess because of that. They were trying to do too
yeah.
much. And oh yeah, we didn't even talk about Rainer. This is the episode where Rainer was giving everyone like 20 words to kind of describe themselves, right?
Yeah, right.
There's too much
Oh,
going on.
there's
There
that.
was way too much going on. The Saru
Yeah,
thing
there
was a
was a
total
lot.
afterthought, and it
Yep.
just felt very discongruous with everything else going on. And then we don't see Saru for like 3 episodes afterwards. I was like, what happened? I mean, Chuck Jones might be busy or something. It just felt he's off to Discovery. He's like doing his own thing now. But they didn't even make an effort to kind of tie his story into what was going on. It was
Oh
just
yeah, no,
way too much. It was
it
way
was
too
a
much
lot
happening.
of subplots. Yeah, it was a very
It was
what's the
all over the
word?
place,
All
literally.
over the
All
place
over the place
episode.
would
Yeah.
be a good way to
I
put
mean,
it.
really they were, that's
Yeah.
true.
And
So,
usually, like,
yeah, I
you have
forgot
A
about
and
that.
B. This is A, B, C, D, E. Like, it was just
I
like way
I
too
forgot
much.
the I forgot the Rainer piece of this. Rainer is, coming off as an asshole in this episode.
Right.
So yes, he is
I mean,
he does.
he has some good moments with Tilly. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Tilly
No,
kind of,
as far as that goes, Tilly is the best part of that. Like at this point in this season, I still don't like him. Like I just
Rainer.
don't like him.
I think he gets
And
better in the next episode.
he gets better, yes. But
He gets
in this
better.
episode, I did not like him. I was like, you're a
Oh,
jerk.
well, of
You
course.
you
He was
know.
made to be a total bully.
Oh
You
yeah,
don't like
yeah, yeah.
bullies. You get
Oh yeah,
triggered.
I do not like bullies at all. Yeah. But I'm super happy that Tilly stood up to him.
Oh yeah,
super happy.
which is funny though because Dennis has admitted that he was a bully in school.
Yes.
He was,
Well,
which I can totally see.
yeah.
You know.
Dennis being my partner. Dennis. So that's
Yes,
the
yes, your
no.
partner.
For
Yes,
yes, I'm talking for the others in the room listening.
yes, yes. We talked about
To
Dennis. We
explain,
talked about Dennis before.
yeah.
Uh,
He
yeah,
has said that. Yeah. So there's that. There's the Saru thing. Yeah. There's the Adira
Adira
piece,
and
which
Gray,
it was a fine tie off of that bit of
checkbox. We're
yeah. I
done.
mean, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And
Yes.
we don't, having now that we're up to episode 6, um, that was sort of the last bit of Saru and Tarina for now.
Yeah, I'm like, are they gonna come back? Like, are we gonna get a wedding?
Here's the other thing, and I don't know if it's this episode or where it falls into these episodes, but you know, I love that we have like the core cast, um,
Forecast. What are you talking about?
the core,
Oh, I
core,
was like, the
the
weather?
core.
I was so
No,
confused.
the core cast, and
Uh-huh.
they're having stuff to do. What I am not liking as we move further into the season is although next episode is a different story, but we we are losing the bridge crew. Like suddenly by
Oh
episode
my God. I don't
5,
even know where Detmer and Orsagon
and
are. They're gone.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
gone.
no, yeah.
They're
So Doug
like
Jones
they're
is
driving they're
gone.
driving the ISS Enterprise
They
back
are,
to the
yes, they
Federation
are,
headquarters. That's gonna take like two
yes,
years,
yes,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I love having Tilly back. I love that all the core cast who's on the opening of the show are there. There is even, I think this is the episode where there's even this little scene between Reno and Stamets about like, don't you know what's gonna happen? She's going down there. She's gonna see her boyfriend or partner, and
I
they're
know.
gonna or
And
not.
Sam was
They're
just like,
they're going to
no.
they're going to see their partner. Sorry, I misgendered Adira there. They're going to see their partner, and it's just not going to be good news. And Jet is telling Paul this in the engineering, and Paul's like completely unaware, which
Oh yeah. I
is
was like
pretty
so
Paul of
unaware.
things. Yes,
Like, no,
he's
they're fine.
yes, he's
No
so unaware.
problem.
He's like the parent who thinks everything is just fine and dandy, and Culber is like the person in the trenches who is like, who, if he wasn't going through his own stuff, would be like, what's going on with you?
Right.
So, anyway, so there's that piece. But
That's
getting
really
back to my
funny.
whole point, I'm missing the bridge crew. I mean, we do get to see them back. We'll talk about it in a moment in the next episode. But any other final thoughts on Janelle? We should probably keep this rolling, or we'll
I
be
know
here
because I
talking
feel
about
like there's
till
just so much
tomorrow.
in this. There's too much and yet too little in this particular episode.
Yeah.
There's plenty else to talk about, so let's keep on going.
Yeah. Okay. So next episode, Face the Strange.
Such a
So
good episode. I love this episode. It's so
oh,
good. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Wow. Well, do
yeah.
tell, do share. Tell
Well,
us
it was
more.
a very okay. So, I love timey-wimey episodes when it's done well. Like, I think
Mm.
that I'm sure this is weeks later, so I'm sure some of our listeners, or all three of them, have probably heard the comparison to Shattered, which was a Voyager episode, season 6, season 7 episode. I don't remember. Where do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I
It's
do
the
not.
Oh, it's the one where Chakotay, basically the Voyager goes through some sort of subspace distortion temporal anomaly field.
Oh my word.
And it gets broken up into different temporal pieces. So each part of the Voyager it's like a different moment in time.
Is this the one
So
where Harry Kim dies and is replaced with his alternate universe version of Harry Kim?
no, that's deadlocked in season one.
Oh, okay.
That happened quite a while ago.
That's not season one. No, that's not season one.
It's season one or two. Sorry, season one or two.
Uh, hmm.
It's super early. But this one was like season 5, season 6, maybe even season 7. I don't remember. But literally, you have one part, the cargo bay is stuck in season 3, and 7 is still Borg. And then you have Seska, she's around and she's back and she realizes that something's going on. And Janeway is like season one Janeway, and she doesn't even know about what's going to happen to the crew. So it's just, and Chakotay is the only one for some reason that is able to, he remembers everything, and he's able to pass through each of these temporal regions on Voyager
Okay.
unaffected.
Mm.
So anyway, it's very similar to that episode, and also it reminded me of Relativity as well, the one where Seven is taken on board the USS
Oh, jumping.
Relativity,
Yeah,
and she's jumping
right.
around time, and
Yeah.
she's like on Voyager before it's out of space dock, and
Mm.
like some of these episodes that have been done well with like timey-wimey shit. I love it. It's just fun. You get callbacks, Easter eggs. It's like there's a lot's happened. On the USS Discovery, this crew has been through a lot. Michael's been through this journey. I thought that the whole scene with her fighting herself was so well choreographed. It's done so well,
Oh yeah.
very seamless. I was like, this is a lot of work. They had to plan every shot. Like it was like done
Oh
very,
yeah.
very well.
For sure.
Um, and yeah, all these callbacks to like the Red Angel. It's like whatever. The Red Angel, Control, and Osira, whatever. It was just done so well. So I
Well, my
just
favorite part was the Arian part, and
oh, Arium. Yes.
so
Yes, so
you get to
good.
see the original
Yes.
bridge crew with Ariam in
Old
command.
uniforms, old
Yep, the old
uniforms,
uniforms. Yep, brought those out
which
of
they dusted those
storage.
off and put those back
Yep,
on. They still fit, I
yep.
guess.
I guess so.
Um, but no, the Arium part was great because I think it's been a while since we talked about, but that Arium episode back in season three was wait season two, sorry, season two was so good.
Hmm.
But great callback. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it was good. I just like really enjoyed it. And yes, we get some, it was also like it was a whole episode where Michael and Raynor got to work out their differences and learn to work
right.
together,
Yep.
yada yada
Yeah, I
yada.
was just about to say that. Yeah,
So it was
yeah,
also like life lessons learned, you know. So
yeah. And it
and
comes,
by yeah.
it's the previous episode information comes into usefulness when he's being when Rayner and Stamets are in engineering and they're being held hostage by Michael and Reese. And he says,
Okay, so that was
Reese, like,
annoying. Okay, the only thing that's the only my only nitpick is Michael needs to go to the bridge and convince everyone in like 2 minutes that she's from the future. I'm like, maybe just show them your comm badge because it's like, oh, you heard this is weird technology. Instead, it's just trying to convince everyone, like, through like conversations, like, oh my God, just, at least show them something. And
well, she
then
does show it, and Ariam sees it and says, oh, that would be
eventually,
cool.
and Aaron's
Yeah,
like, that's
yeah,
such
yeah,
cool technology. But why not
yeah.
start with that being like, I'm from the future?
Sure.
Look at my
Yeah.
technology. I can like make a phaser come out of nowhere. And also when they're in engineering, Stamets could be like, do you see this like treacherous and weird looking thing that's like in the console? I need to do something about this. Do you want to do something about this? They don't even try showing like, oh, there is like this like weird spider like doing shit in your engineering,
Right, right.
in the engineering conduit or whatever. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
bought that though because this version of Michael is super headstrong, super just mad at the universe, and doesn't
right, but show
like
them
will not
something.
listen to
But she's a
anything.
scientist, so show her something empirical that she can
Oh
actually
yeah,
see.
that's yeah,
She's a
yeah,
scientist. She can be reasoned with still. Like
yeah.
she's a
I don't, I actually felt like
xenobiologist. What is
she,
she? Yeah.
yeah, I
At
just
least
felt
show her
like she,
something. At least show her something that she can see and measure, right? And not
yeah,
just try to appeal to her feelings. Like,
yeah,
especially, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to think because she should be logical. Yeah, she's gone through this trauma of kind of like having done something bad, but her Vulcan mind might be like, what the fuck is that? Like
mm,
at least start there. That'll take 30 seconds. If it doesn't work, or 10 seconds even. If it doesn't work, move on to your plan B, which is to talk her
yeah,
into it. I'm just like,
right,
you know,
okay,
you could have made some shortcuts. You literally have like 2 minutes, like do something, do something. So
I gotcha.
that's my
Okay, that
my
makes
one nitpick about this episode.
okay. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, one pick that's not bad for
for how I'm usually am.
for
Like I know
you.
many notes, many notes, a lot of feedback. But
Yeah.
anyway, yes, I'm in. I'm done talking. You go. You kind of mentioned.
I mean, I enjoyed the episode too. I was super impressed with how they did the choreographed scenes with her double, and
Hmm.
and it really looked like Burnham from season one or whatever.
Oh yeah, the hair. I was like,
Oh my word,
bitch, look at you.
it was
Such
so,
a
I was like,
throwback.
how are they doing this? How did they
Hair,
do
makeup,
this?
hair, and
I
makeup doing
mean,
their
yeah, no,
jobs.
so yeah, huge props to hair and makeup for this job. And then them fighting, huge, yeah, I mean, really, I mean, yeah, as far as the Burnham versus Burnham pieces, I thought were so well done.
Oh, so well
Just
done.
so well done. Yeah, and just yeah. Um,
Oh, one more other nitpick. No one said anything about the uniforms other than
oh yeah,
what's his
yeah.
face being like, "You look good in red." I'm like, but wait, what about the captain's pips, some or something? Which I didn't. I don't even see the regular pips on them. I don't even know how you recognize it.
It's
But
on
then,
their com badge now.
oh, it's on the combat. Okay, but I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
even. I wouldn't even look there. But then also,
Well,
it's
and
like,
also partially under the chin, there's some differences with
oh,
the
are there? Okay.
thing. Yeah.
But it's also like
Uh,
you're wearing a completely different uniform. What is this? Like no
yeah,
one said.
yeah,
No, I could have used like one or two comments about what is this uniform, bitch?
yeah, yeah. Yep. No,
It's like
that's
you look out
true.
of place.
Even Reno didn't even really, or
Yeah,
she made a
Wielden.
comment about it or something, I thought, but
I thought she was just like, "Oh, who are you?" And then Rainer was kind of just like, "Oh,
I'm on
I'm
temp
I'm
assignment
part-time
here.
or I'm
Yeah, part
contractor or
time.
something."
Yeah.
Like, okay.
So yeah, yeah. I mean, it was great to see Reno again. I really enjoy um that character and
I know. I
that
feel
just
she's never gotten enough to do, but she's good.
it's a guest starring role for her, and it's just something fun to bring the attitude, and because you don't get that attitude anymore because Stamets is like all woo woo now and like
I
just
know.
happy. So there's no one to bring the grouch. Yeah, no, I enjoyed the episode too. Yeah, it felt appropriately. Um, Yeah, it was just a really well done time travel episode. Like the stakes felt real throughout the episode.
Right. Right.
And including when she and Raynor jump to the future, far future, and they see the destroyed Federation headquarters, which I'm like, if that's destroyed, how is Discovery in one piece? But anyway,
I don't know.
um, so there's that bit, but I also felt like it was almost a callback to the Short Trucks episode a little bit.
Oh yes,
Uh,
Calypso, which
yeah,
it kind of
so
was giving us those vibes, but
yeah, yeah.
we will
We'll never
never
know.
we'll never know.
So, but and it was also like 30 years in the future. So,
Not a
uh,
thousand or whatever.
whatever it was.
Whatever.
Well, anyway, yeah, we could,
It's okay. We don't need
that's,
to, I don't think we're ever gonna reconcile it.
no,
It was
no,
a
no, it's
short
totally
track.
fine. It's totally fine. Yeah,
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 it's
yeah.
fine. It's fine.
Totally
It's
fine.
fine.
So yeah, overall I really enjoyed it. I love the way that the bridge crew treated Burnham because it was very season one. Like we don't
Mm-hmm.
trust you, we don't know you, you're a bad
Yeah,
person. Although
mutineer.
Detmer was on Shenzo, so there's that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I thought it was just a really well done episode, and yeah, and suddenly we're back in the right timeline at the end of it all, and it's a big anomaly. Or no, they don't say that until the next episode, but
Right.
um,
No,
yeah,
they're like,
no,
where did Maul and Lock go? They've disappeared from sensors. That's how they leave
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep, yep. So it was an enjoyable episode. That was a really surprisingly fun. And actually, I think it was the appropriate time to take a break and have some fun with something that
Mm-hmm.
was a little less. I mean, it was intense, but it was a little less critical. I mean that would be an episode that I would go back to and watch again, just for the fun of the adventure of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So cool.
I
Well,
agree. I
let's move
agree.
on. Let's move on to, we've already referenced it once or twice, Mirrors, episode 5. So
Right.
we track down that there's this anomaly, or they reveal that there's an anomaly. I can't even say anomaly. It's a
Yeah.
hard word. It's a hard word. So
That kind of looks like a wormhole. I don't remember exactly how they
does
referred
look
to
like a
it.
wormhole,
It
right?
looks like a
But
wormhole.
it's not
The
visible
subspace
to the,
pocket or something, or interdimensional pocket, whatever.
yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Technobabble.
Yes,
Right.
whatever it is, it does look like partially like the Bajoran wormhole, but
Right. That leads into a
uh
pocket universe or something.
yes.
Yes.
Yes, where I called it, we find the Enterprise, which is not exactly the Enterprise. You were
Right.
right on the fact it was the ISS
The
Enterprise.
ISS Enterprise.
Um and so this is another like another, I mean, this has an A and a B plot. This is really
It
where
does. Yes, very clear A and B plot.
it's um well, maybe even a C plot, I guess, if we think about Back to Discovery, right? So,
Wait, what's the A and B
oh,
plot? I thought the A
oh yeah,
plot
I
was
know. I
the
don't even
ISS.
know. Yeah,
Yeah,
so well, but we have the ISS. We learn about the history of Malin Locke, right?
right.
That's two. We have some.
Oh, okay. I kind of just integrate that into the A plot because it's kind of
Oh,
like,
okay.
what's going
Oh,
on with them. But
okay. Yeah, there's a lot.
A and A and a half, and then B.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in this episode. I mean, yeah, was I really enjoyed learning about the Breen. Like, learning that Locke is a Breen. I
That
mean,
was a shocker. I was like, I did not
yes.
expect for him to be a brain.
Nope.
And I was very surprised and somewhat delighted that we've decided to kind of do that because they've been obviously very dropping, they've name dropping the brain all season. So there's that
Yeah.
payoff. I did get a little confused about the two faces thing because they were like, oh, every brain has two faces. I thought the helmet was actually one of their quote unquote faces because
I don't
it
think
was
so. I think it's like the
no, I know it's
gelatin
not. I know it's
face.
not. I
Yeah.
mean, but I'm saying like when I was watching the episode, because literally we never see their face. Like,
Right. Yeah. We've
either the
never seen it. Yeah.
slimy or solid version or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, do they mean because I was like, oh, maybe they mean like you should the only face you should ever see is the helmet, is the metal face. Because
That's,
and
yeah.
that's the only thing anyone sees. And I thought maybe culturally you're never supposed to take it off. It's like Mandalorian. It's like you never, this is your face. This is your
Yeah.
pumpkin face.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, no one's supposed to ever see it ever. So that's how I interpreted it. And it's like, oh, like so when he moved his like the helmet or whatever you deactivate it, I was kind of confused by why is it kind of translucent and then like whatever. It was a little confusing. It wasn't they didn't really like fully flush it out other than saying like every brain has two faces. So I don't know. It
Yeah.
wasn't
I
until
mean,
I read like an interview or something
oh, really?
with the writer. They were like, "Oh yeah, Breens have the slimy face and the solid face." I was like, "I don't feel that was really clear," or they really like really elaborate on it. But okay, sure,
Yeah. I mean, and technically you're kind of right because really most people only see the helmeted face.
right, yeah. I think I just went to
So
Mandalorian, so I was just like, "Oh, it makes
so
sense,"
there's like three faces. There's the helmet,
Right,
there's
right,
the translucent face, and then there's the solid face, which we
right.
see Locke in. And I liked it. I liked the fact that because we didn't know that Locke was green all this time.
No surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, so I think that was probably the most interesting part of this episode for me.
yeah. I thought
The
the Enterprise was fine. It was just kind of,
Oh, it was
it
the
was just
set. It was the set, so it
they
wasn't
just
anything.
redressed it a little bit. Like, okay,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, no.
I
I
wish
mean,
we
the
got more
history,
mirror universe shit from it, but it's
yeah,
fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've read somewhere or like heard another podcast talk about it and wondering if they tried to get someone from that from Strange New Worlds and they
I
just
think
couldn't
Ethan
work it
Peck, they were
out.
trying to figure that out, but it didn't work out
Didn't
or
work out.
something.
Yeah. So, it was fine. I think one of the best things I heard in another podcast was that it could have been it didn't have to be the Enterprise. Like you could still use the Enterprise
Right.
sets and it didn't have to be the Enterprise, you know.
Yes, it could have been the Defiant.
Could have been the Defiant, could have
You
been
know,
anything. It could have been
that would have been
anything.
cool. Then
Yeah.
it could they could have thrown in like, oh yeah, Hoshi took over the ship or something. You know, like that
Mm,
could have been cool. Like then you have those Enterprise throwbacks, which Discovery really likes. But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that would have been, tying it back to the whole, Mayor Darkly
So, yeah.
story.
I mean,
But
since you bring up Enterprise, I do want to say, like, I do feel like Discovery is getting its footing this season, and for Enterprise, like, they are getting they're getting canceled.
last
So
season,
last season.
yeah,
So we finally get here in season 5, and it's the last season. So
I know. Goodbye forever.
um so anyway, that was,
No,
that's probably not an uncommon thought these days. But anyway,
I
so
know.
there's that. The book and mall thing, trying to connect with her. I didn't like that. None of that. This so I think how I feel about Book in this season is that I feel like they're sort of shoehorning him in, and by having this connection to Mal, they're like forcing that, and I think it's really being forced a little too hard.
Book in
Like I'm just kind
general.
of yeah, just Book in general, like bringing him
Mm.
back from this redemption piece, which I get, and I know that he's Michael's person, and even though they're broken up or whatever,
Oh yeah,
they
that was
broke up
another
in
thing from Face of Strange, like Michael and Book, like having their moment.
Oh yeah,
We're gonna
having
talk
their
about
little
that,
moment.
but
Yeah,
that
yeah.
had some
Right.
residual effects in this episode.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, she wanted to tell him about that, especially
Right,
towards the end. She
right.
wanted to remember the good times that they had
And
had
she was like, "It was
together.
nice. It was nice to
Yeah.
be reminded of a simpler time." Like,
Yeah.
oh,
But I feel like everything with Book and Mall is really like too forced, and like I don't
I
know.
agree. Yeah, I agree.
But um, yeah. So again, it's just, one of those things about, it's a character that people love and want to bring back to the show, which is totally fine and good. It's just forcing this relationship with Maul, and then him like really trying, like thinking he can get through to her.
Hmm.
Like that, I mean, you have one conversation with her and you realize that you're not going to get through to her. Like she is
Right.
literally the most stubborn person in the entire universe.
Literally. I don't know about
I
that for sure.
mean,
I mean, she's been through trauma, like, like I
sure.
don't know, like, I don't know literally, but
Well, I
metaphorically,
mean,
perhaps.
sure, sure. But, it's
Um,
just she trusts no one, wants no one
but
but
she needs to
Locke.
go on this redemption arc. We talked about this last time. There's only setting arc for her kind of, a redeemable villain, like
Hmm.
she's going, she's
I'm not yeah, no, I don't think so.
wait, you think that she's not going to get redeemed, or do you think, or
I
you're just
don't
not
think
into it?
I don't know. I
She's
mean
Book's only family, Mike. She has to be redeemed. He can't have another tragedy. Come on. He's gonna he's gonna get back his sister. Like, come on, you know how this is. Like, give me a
uh
break.
I
Like,
really
he's
don't
they're not
want this
gonna
to be the way. I
just
really don't.
come on, give me a break. Of course, they're setting that up.
I
So
mean, they're setting it
obvious.
up. I mean,
We don't have to like it, but
oh no,
I
I'm
think
not even convinced that they're going to do it. Based on, yeah, I'm a little
I
further ahead, and I just don't believe that it's going to
I,
happen.
I think I think Maul and Lockup both can be redeemed, and then the Breen in general at large are going to kind of be the end season threat. Like, I
Oh,
think
okay,
that's what's going to happen.
okay. I mean,
So it would make sense. I think it makes sense for all the signposting that we're getting and all the foreshadowing. I think that makes sense. It doesn't mean that we have to like it, but I think, come on.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure that I'm
All
there
right.
with it, but
All right. You want to put money on it? Witness? All our listeners can be witness. Like,
I'm not sure well, anyway, yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Can't, hard to
I
say
don't know.
what's going to happen, how this is all going
Well,
to play
sure.
out, or even what this progenitor's device is going to do. Is it like, that's the other thing. We have no idea what this device is going to do, if anything.
Right. And very
So,
convenient that Zora like lost her memory or whatever and couldn't tell us
of
more.
course,
Very
of
convenient.
course.
Um, because she could have been like, they didn't even ask, but if I was Michael and Book, by the way, in Face of Strange, and there was like Zora 30, I would just be like, what are the other puzzle pieces to tell us? Or where's the progenitor's device? You know
Oh,
what I
her
mean?
and
They didn't even
Raynor
ask.
didn't ask. They couldn't
No, they
ask,
did
or
not
they
ask. They didn't even
oh, because of the
ask.
temporal prime directive. They can't. It was another prime directive thing. They couldn't ask her questions and that
What
they
do you mean?
wanted
They
to.
asked her like what happened. They were like, "What happened here?" Like when they saw
Oh, and then
Federation
she said she
headquarters got
didn't
blown up.
remember anything that led
Right,
up
but
to
they
it.
didn't even like probe. But then she remembered some stuff. She remembered like, oh, the brain, got the weapon, and like she remembered some bits and pieces,
Mm.
obviously. So I mean,
Breadcrumbs,
I don't know, by
breadcrumbs.
the way, Temple Prime Directive, Michael didn't really have too much an issue breaking the Prime Directive in like the next episode or whatever it is. Like when Tilly was
She
a
didn't
thing.
really break. Well, I mean, yes,
What
okay,
the
she broke
fuck do
it.
you mean? Of course she broke the she didn't even she made that decision like that. Like fuck the Prime Directive. Like I didn't say Tilly. I'm like,
Oh my
okay. That was
gosh.
very simple. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like Michael's not one to follow the rules. We all know this. So I don't think the
Yeah.
temporal Prime Directive is really gonna stop Michael from
Mm.
I
All
think that was his
right.
logic. The first thing I would have asked is Zora, do you have any idea where the other pieces are? You know? Like
Oh.
I would just ask the question. Like, especially if the
Mm.
Federation, the future of the Federation is at stake and potentially the future of the galaxy. Come on,
I think
let
that
alone
obviously that
Tilly's
would have.
life. Whatever.
You're talking about like narrative stuff that you like would not, it wouldn't help. It's the plot is the plot.
I'm
Like,
just using, yeah, I'm just saying, like these are just like logic, like small like logic gaps that I'm kind of like, those things bug me, like plot holes, things like that. Like if you're in
okay.
that situation, like, what would be some of the first questions you would ask
I
Aura?
forget how much
Like,
time that they had though. They didn't have a ton of time. They had like three,
no, no,
four
no. But that
minutes, right?
could be like, oh, Zora, do you know what the puzzle is? Like, oh, you don't know? Okay, cool. It can
Yeah,
be really
yeah,
quick.
yeah, sure. Okay.
Download it in my com
Well,
badge. Just give me your information, bitch. Whatever.
okay.
Anyway.
Oh my word.
But yeah, this episode was okay. I mean, going back to mirrors. No, this episode
Yes,
was
going
fine.
back to mirrors.
I liked it. I liked it. It wasn't as strong as Face of Strange. But I mean, there were parts of it like we didn't even talk about like Raynor working with the crew. I feel they started to gel a little bit. I know you still don't
Yeah,
like
no,
Raynor,
that was for
but
me like the C plot or whatever that actually was really, really good.
like
It
yeah,
felt
he
like
started to know how to work with the crew.
right. And
I
he
like
didn't
that
sit in the
moment.
chair, which I thought was really cool. Like he didn't sit in the chair.
Oh, he didn't? Oh, I didn't notice that.
No. And they even talked about it later. He's like, you
Um,
know, it's the captain's chair.
oh, I like that.
So whereas Reese at one point later on, Reese will sit in the captain's
Oh
chair or
yeah.
whatever.
Well, you're supposed to.
Anyone else will, but
I liked,
Arian,
okay, raise my hand. I liked the moment when Raynor was like, he was just really stressed out. And then Stamets was like, you told me this, but I'm going to tell you this. You're not in it alone. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. I really like that
yeah,
moment.
yeah,
I
yeah.
like, because yeah, I think Raynor, even though he has served with Michael for a very short time, he is very, very concerned about her for whatever reason. I'm like, okay, cool. But it was just like, he was really legitimate, like just stressed out about the whole situation. And he was like, we got to do something. So I appreciate that
Hmm.
side character moment between him and
Yeah.
Stamets.
There's been a little bit of commentary about how like she got the message out like to him about what was happening or like the four,
Oh
three,
yeah.
1, 4, whatever thing. And
I would that's a very
sure.
specific. Sure.
Yeah, that's
I'm
very
like, oh
specific.
man. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, other than
Um,
like if you I would have not made that connection with anything, like other than like maybe SOS, like Morse
right.
code. If you were to like, oh, some random numbers, I'm like, I don't
The other part of
know.
this episode that I really didn't like is, I mean, obviously it just leads into the next episode, but how Maul and Locke get away in a torpedo or something that like
I thought it was a shuttle or something or escape pod, and then they like, oh,
went
we
to
guess we gotta
war.
try,
They went to
we
war.
gotta track their warp signature. I'm like, why don't you just go after them? Like,
Right.
I don't understand. You have a
Yeah.
starship, they have like an escape pod or shuttle at most. Like,
Right.
there's no
Yeah. It
way
was
they
just
can.
that piece of it did not.
No, it
Well,
didn't make
that
any sense. And then
yeah.
the next episode, they were like, "Did anyone track down their warp signature?" I'm like, okay, literally, if you went after them at like warp two, you probably could have caught up to them. So I don't really get it.
Yeah, that's one of those things that, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I
And
did not
they
like
didn't
that.
have their fancy like, oh, like like the what they did in episode one, where they like
One,
shot all
yeah,
the
yeah, they didn't have any of that.
torpedoes in
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
20 different directions. They didn't have
Yeah.
that this time, so I don't get it. They didn't
Yeah,
even
I
say like,
don't.
oh, they also master warp signature. At least say they master warp signature. They didn't say that. I'm like, at least master warp signature. Come on, 101.
Well, apparently they took some stuff from sick bay to rig a life support, so
I
or
don't,
whatever,
I don't know. It was,
for it.
yeah, that
So
was another
I mean, I
weird.
guess 3 minutes is a lot longer in Discovery Universe where they're about to crash through the portal and they were able to build a life pod and it
I
goes
don't
to
know. I
warp
don't, yeah, I don't
in
know.
like
So it was
five
confusing.
minutes. Yeah, seems
Um,
like a lot. And Locke is dying, so because he's got a
right,
knife in his side. So
right.
yeah. Um.
Um,
So
anyway, another
anyway,
plot hole, but that's fine. That's fine.
yeah, but I do. Oh, the cool thing about this, I thought Michael's little trick about like the item for that distracted them, like, oh,
I was
if
really confused, actually. I did not understand what was happening.
yeah, I didn't understand it at the time. I mean, even watching a second time, I was like, oh, she did that,
Yeah, I knew she
to
put like a piece of her like comm badge in because I rewound. And then yeah, I saw that she put her a piece of her comm badge into the locket. And then they were like, oh, they're in sick bay. There are three life signs, right? They said there are three life
yeah,
signs, but
they said three life
what
signs.
was
What
the
was
third
the
life sign? I was very
I don't
confused
know.
about that.
Yeah, I don't understand.
And I thought it was the vial. I thought the vial had some sort of like biological
I
thing in
wonder
it,
if
but it
that
said
was
that,
written. I wonder if that was written and there was supposed to be like a mirror universe person in there, but there wasn't, and
yeah, I
they
don't
missed that.
know.
I think they might have missed that.
It was
But
really,
yeah,
yeah, it was
yeah,
that didn't, yeah, I was not following. I was not
yeah.
following.
That didn't. Yeah, there were some definite little holes there.
Wait,
But
so what was a locket? Like, because you read up on it? Like, what was
oh no, I
it?
didn't
What?
read up on it. No, I was just saying like I thought it was a good diversion to try to distract them and get the real puzzle piece from
Well, what
them.
am I gonna say? Like, oh, this is the actual piece versus like
Yeah,
what
she
they
said
had?
something in there. Yeah, she's like, why do you think it's gonna look like that or whatever? I don't know if they've even
Because it literally
seen,
looks like one of the five pieces that fits into the
but
thing.
Discovery knows that. I don't know that we're not sure that Maul and Locke have ever seen like a full piece other than the one they had in Mirrors. Like Jinaal was piece one, right? Or is that piece two?
That might you might be right. That might have been piece one.
Yeah, so I don't think that they knew. So it was enough of a distraction
It
where
was a little confusing. It was a little
yeah, well, yeah.
confusing.
Well, I mean, so, and obviously we pointed out the fact that there were three life forms when there were really only two.
Yeah, it
And
was, I don't know. Oh, and by the way, like these puzzle pieces, they're kind of just like out in the open. I don't know. Every time they just like and they leave the room,
I
they're like,
know they leave it just lying
no
around.
security, force
Yeah, I
field,
know. Yeah,
nothing.
no,
I'm like,
bothers me
uh,
too. Bothers
someone
me
can
too.
literally just walk into
Someone
that room and take
sit
it.
and pick it up. And you know what? That's probably gonna happen.
It's probably gonna happen. I'm sure it's gonna
Yes,
happen. Maul and
absolutely.
Log are gonna
Yes.
steal it, and then
Yes.
Maul and Log are probably gonna get to the progenitor tech first somehow because we need tension. We need, we need it.
So yeah. But
Um,
they get the piece or she gets the piece from Locke. He's damaged, and then they come back and say, "Oh, the ship's going into the portal." Uh, yeah, and then they run off, and that's it. But they have the piece
they
anyway.
have it. Yeah,
They
I
have
don't
it
know. It's
with
like
the
yeah,
water,
there's
with
just like these
the
like plot pieces. It's like a little
yeah,
sloppy,
yeah, yep,
And these things bother me because I'm very process oriented, as you know, and I need the Google Calendar invite and also the Excel sheet. So I'm like, why are there no security measures? Why is this like plot not fully thought out? Like, what's happening? What is this? What's that? It's just all the questions.
yeah. No, it should be in like a stasis field locked behind several doors, and they go into a special room and put the piece in
Yeah.
and be like,
Sort of just
that's
like
it.
sitting in her ready room or in engineering. I'm like, there's
Yeah.
literally nobody here.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Someone pops in and pops out and it's gone. But all right. Well, mirrors. That was mirrors. And then we have our latest episode, which just aired this past week, a couple days ago, Whistlespeak, where we go to the planet Palomno and have a traditional Star Trek episode with
Hmm.
the Prime Directive. We get some Denobulan mentions.
Name drops, yeah.
Um, we get a Tilly and Michael episode. So we've had Saru and Michael, we've had Book and Michael, and now we have Tilly and Michael.
Right.
Right? Did I miss one? Book, Tilly.
Book.
Oh, and we had a Michael and Rainer one. So there
Oh
we
yeah,
go.
yeah.
So
Oh
there we
yeah, they're
go.
all getting a turn.
Yeah,
That's funny.
everyone's getting a turn because Paramount's going broke, and we need to basically just pair people up and you know.
Yeah, I think yeah, Stamets needs to have some Michael time, I think at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Is this the one where we get more information about his spiritual journey, or is it
Yeah, this one, Culber was
big
his grappling with I mean, did we
with
get a little bit in the last episode as well?
right
But
with a nice little scene with Tilly and him,
right, but this is the
which is
one where he's like talking to his abuela.
yes, which I
Yeah.
thought was really sweet. And then he talks to Paul about it as well, and they don't they examine him in sick bay and say it's going to be
Hmm.
all right, and
Yeah.
yes, they do. Yeah.
We have not gotten enough of them together like this season at all. Like I
No,
feel
this
they've
was
been
like the first, first time they're in sick bay together, going over
yeah.
his brain scans and whatnot. And
Hmm.
yeah, um, it does. So I do. So speaking about this, I do sort of like the fact that, in a good relationship, there is a balance of like things that one is good at and the other is good
Hmm.
at. And I think that this is a good example of that as well as, you know, Stamets is very in touch with feelings and the spiritual, and Paul is kind of like this
You mean Culber?
scientific
Culber is in
Culver,
touch with
sorry. Yeah,
spiritual
Culver
feelings.
is
Yeah.
sorry. Thank you. And Paul is just like scientist, kind of woo woo, like woo woo for a scientist. He's
Woo-woo.
kind of like not woo woo. He's like in happy land all the time. He's like never a grouch anymore. Although going back to the timeline episode, it was great to see him yell at the engineering. It's like I'm in a bad mood, like
Yeah.
forcing. That was cute. So we get some nice scenes with them, and yeah, it just kind of I think it reinforces the journey that Culber is on, and less so about the journey that Paul's on. Remember, in the first episode, it's all about what's his legacy now that the spore drive has kind of been
Right.
derailed.
Hmm.
So he's looking for a legacy, and maybe the progenitors thing will be his legacy at some point. And yeah, I don't know, but I'm hoping this is me projecting to the end of the series, but I'm hoping that Culver's story wraps up because Wilson Cruz wasn't able to go back and do reshoots when the cast
Oh,
did.
right.
He was in
Well,
Thailand filming a movie and didn't go back. So there are no extra scenes with Culver except the ones he filmed on the first run before they knew that
uh,
the series was canceled.
yeah,
So
that sucks, I have to say. Because we
yeah,
can't even
so
get like a full like crew shot with him at the end.
yeah,
Like,
right, yeah,
like, yeah.
yeah, it's kind of a bummer. Although, as everyone has said, like this feels very much like a last season
Hmm.
in a lot of
Yeah, we talked
ways,
about it
and
last time. It's just like so
yeah, no, and I
serendipitous that you have these moments that feels like
so
it.
it just I so here's the thing, like yeah, I feel like so there's always this thing about like how you said Mike McMahon kind of knew that it was coming,
Hmm.
and I feel like Michelle Paradise is the showrunner and co-executive producer. I have a feeling that they know these things ahead of time. Like
Hmm.
they probably
Okay.
knew, and so to some
Or at
extent,
least
Michelle
maybe
is
suspected. At least
yeah,
suspected, and they're like,
really
we
heavily.
might want to start wrapping things up,
Yeah, I feel like
just in
this is
case.
there's just too many indications that this is the last season, and it this was done way before the cast was even told that it was officially the
Hmm.
last season. And I just think that, um, I think I just have this feeling. This is my general thought. I mean, I'll never get confirmation of this, but I just think that this is that at least Michelle knew and maybe drove the writers to kind of in a way that kept that part a secret, but had them wrap up these storylines in a way that would
Or
be
maybe it was kind of
beneficial.
like a, situation where it's like this might be the last season. If we get another one, awesome. But we might want to, just start to kind of, make it so that feels like it's like maybe like a Babylon 5 situation or something like that, where it's like, oh yeah, like we're gonna wrap things up, but oh cool, another season. Okay, we're gonna start something completely
Yeah.
new.
Oh, that's funny that you said Babylon 5. That's totally it. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Babylon. Yeah.
Oh, we better wrap up this whole Shadow War. Oh, cool, there's season. Okay, well, there's some stuff we can like dip back into the well with, like what we have to. So it's kind of like, planting the seeds if they do get something, but if not, we have enough to say this is the
Yeah.
end.
But this feels much more like it was the grand plan that things would be wrapped up in a way that,
Sure.
but we'll see.
Yep.
So that's my worry about Culver and this whole piece about his spiritual journey. I hope that
Yeah.
they do like resolve that, but hopefully it's not for naught, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, a spiritual journey is never like there's no there's an
Never,
end
never,
point. This is
there,
it.
yeah.
We're
Yeah,
done.
no, that's true. It's not like there's an end point, but
But I
reaching
think
up,
what does need to be addressed more fully because of the way this episode kind of fleshed it out is that he and Paul need to have another touch base about it to kind of because right, he kind of Paul was just like, oh, it's probably something we don't know about the brain, right? Like, well, and then Samet's sorry, yeah, and then Colbert talked to Book, and then Book at
yeah.
the end was like, well, like there's some things that we don't always share. Well, I think that was he said, like, we don't always share with our like
Um,
significant other or spouse or something like that. Was that what he said?
I,
Like,
I get what you're saying. The gist of it is like sometimes your significant other doesn't understand everything,
yeah, and
and,
that's
and they
okay,
don't, and that's okay. That is what it is. So,
yeah.
um, yeah. So,
Like you're still an
yeah, I think,
individual, like like you're on your own journey too. Like you have someone
yep,
walking
right.
with you, but doesn't mean that you don't have your own thing going on. So,
Yep, that's
um,
totally true. 100%.
yeah.
So the other part of this episode, not Culver and Stamets' focus, was this whole episode on the planet and a C plot with Adira on the bridge. So
That was very C. It was like
yeah,
C plus, C minus. I don't know.
but yeah, I thought it was an enjoyable episode. They did talk about breaking the Prime Directive early on. They didn't because that woman was going to die, but fortunately, they had a way to save her from the dust that was not technology driven. So,
Hmm.
but I enjoyed this whole run. The sacrifice piece. On watching it a second time, I obviously knew that, but I don't know that it was really super clear at the beginning or made throughout the episode. And even when the old woman was speaking to her about her
Oh no,
friend,
no, we didn't know. I mean,
we didn't know that.
there were hints that something's off, but you don't
Yeah,
know, Like why is the dad trying to convince
please
his
convince
daughter so
Rava.
hard that they
Yeah,
don't need to run? Like,
don't need to run. Yeah. So
or
he
whatever.
maybe he is the only one that knew that secret, and or it was just a generally known secret
I
that nobody
mean, what's her
mentioned.
face knew like
Oh yeah, it's her friend knew.
yeah,
Yes, you're
they
right. Yeah,
knew,
because her
they
friend knew.
knew, they knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
So
yeah, I thought like I always find it interesting when they give a little more a little more thought into the construction of an alien species or race. So the whole whistle speak kind of thing where they like, oh, they also communicate, communicate in different ways. They talk, but they also whistle. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like that's interesting. Just making them a
yeah.
little bit different. So I thought that was cool, yada yada yada. But
Yeah, no,
So that's
yeah, it
good.
just felt very Star Trekky. I mean, it felt like,
Hmm.
solve a problem, and then I liked that Michael tapped out early and let Tilly complete the race, and I thought the way that Tilly completed the race was right on par with Tilly's, journey and being the teacher and the one who,
Right.
helps this younger generation do things. So yeah, I thought it was a
No.
really um, outstanding Tilly episode too, in a lot
Yeah.
of ways.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was good.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and fortunately they saved Tilly because Tilly was the only one that knew that the actual clue was not in that tower, but in the fifth tower.
Right.
Which she was the only one who knew that. So she didn't even communicate that over the comms to Michael before she
Oh,
died, which
yeah,
I thought was
she
kind of,
could have said something,
yeah,
I
she could have,
guess.
but she didn't, So
Yeah.
I was like, wow, okay. Did you forget to mention this to someone in case you don't make it?
I think it's again one of those things like it's like a logic, it's like a gap in logic, right? Like it's like how they could have asked Zora if she had any additional information. Like it's just like like there could have been other way for them to do this, but go the long route of trying to figure this out. Whatever, that's fine.
yeah,
Like
they did.
it's like we want to take the scenic route versus the actual logical way, which could be seen as a shortcut, but it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
Exactly. Well,
that's okay. I agree with you. It's like kind of just like a more like classic like first contact slash prime directive kind of situation, and how involved do we get, and
yeah.
yada yada yada. So
Yeah. And really, they only broke the Prime Directive with the dad. Like, that was it. Like, no one else knew was in the tower except for him.
I don't know
So,
the consequences of
right.
like
Yeah.
breaking the prime directive of one person versus the whole species. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah. True.
um, but yeah,
So,
it's like
yeah.
whatever, that's fine. But it was also kind of like you have this giant monolith that obviously has technology, and you did not build this. I guess the gods built it, but it's also very much like mechanical. I don't know. It was like literally there's a lever that he like has to twist, to actually like make the whole thing function and whatever. I'm like, how and why? Um, but yeah, I think that overall, I would say that, yeah, I agree when it comes to this episode. I think, overall, I think that it was fine. Like, yeah, I think it was like, yes, throwback to like a TNG slash Rick Berman kind of episode. We get the Tilly highlight. We get Michael again spending time with someone from her crew, putting herself in danger. That's fine. Yeah, I don't think it like shown necessarily as much as Face of Strange or even Mirrors, if I had to be honest. But at least we've moved the plot forward, which I guess is a good thing. So yeah, I think yeah, just overall I would probably give it like if I had to say like maybe like a B plus. Good effort. So anyway,
I
yeah.
mean, that's a good grade.
Yeah,
B
B
plus
plus,
for,
B plus.
yeah.
So anyway, anything
Was,
else about this episode, or at least last four episodes?
no, out of these four, what is your favorite? The time travel one?
Obviously, Face of Strange. I think I was the
Yeah.
most enthusiastic about that one, and probably the one that I was most down on was Jinaal. But I mean, I don't think it was bad. It was just like this is fine.
No, I don't, yeah, no, you're right. I'm trying to think if, yeah. I mean, I did enjoy the green part of Mirrors, so that was kind of
Oh no,
cool.
Mirrors I thought was good too. I just think
Yeah,
that the whole Enterprise thing was a little unnecessary, but I thought overall it
yeah,
was actually a good episode
yeah,
because of the brain reveal and whatever.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it would have been nice to have a little bit more. I don't know. I don't, it would have been actually it would have been great to just have an episode about their journey.
Whose
and like
journey?
Maul and Locks, like
I mean, wasn't that
almost.
whole thing about
I mean, that
their?
was, but like build it out a little bit more,
I
like
think that's it. I don't think we're gonna get more.
no,
I
no,
don't
I
think.
know, I know, no, no, I know. Like it would have been
Uh,
great to like have an episode where you see the whole story of Maul like in different points, and then she meets Locke and like what that like.
no, we're
But
not gonna get that. It's
oh no, 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 no. I'm
I
saying anyway. Instead, we got mirrors,
also,
which
I'm
is
not sure.
fun.
I'm not that curious. I'm like, I get it. She's a courier. Like, she had some trauma. She lost her mother and father. We got that information, and she
Yeah,
probably has like
yeah, but
attachment
you know
issues.
how so she all right, so we've complained about this in the past. This is sort of the same thing where you get little details about the bridge crew and these
Uh-huh.
like short explanatory like
Sure.
things, and that's what I feel like this sort of was in some ways was there was a lot of explanatory things when you could build a story around it maybe and do it. But again, we
Well,
have
I think
10 we have 10
Discovery,
episodes. We have 10
yeah,
episodes and yeah, that's not the if we had even 15, maybe you could build it out differently.
sure. Yes, I agree. I think the episode, the fact that we didn't have so many episodes to work with, and I think historically, Discovery has not always been the best at showing, not telling. I think
Yeah. Oh
that
yeah, yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
we're
No,
just
no.
told.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
you know,
No, for
it's
sure.
it's it's yeah, it's one of the areas where we can probably go at length about that, but it's fine.
Yeah.
We don't have to.
All right. Well, there we did. We just covered 40% of the season in one episode.
I know.
And
A
we've
lot.
only got 4 episodes left of Discovery.
I know. Only one more month, and then we're done with
Yeah,
Discovery.
we're done, and yeah, we wait for the final season of Lower Decks,
Oh my God. So
and
good.
then we'll have to wait till 2025 for probably any new Trek.
God.
Oh no, we have Prodigy, which we have not
Oh, that's
talked about at
right. I
all.
was like, wait,
There should be there
I was
should
like,
be Prodigy
really?
coming out at some point. We just don't know when.
Yeah, at some point, Netflix has not given any indication as to when that's going to happen, but
Yeah, no,
some point. So
right.
anyway, okay.
All right.
Well,
Well, there we go.
Mike, do you want to talk a little bit about our sponsor? Are you ready to do
Sure.
that?
Sure. Fansets is the presenting sponsor of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network and supports Deep Space Pride as well. So we want to give a shout out to them and head on over to fansets.com. There's a bunch of new pins. So I haven't been on here in a little while, but there are now, this is a throwback, Star Trek 4 research Jillian badge, I guess, from the end of the voyage home before she heads out onto her scientific vessel. There's a
Oh,
autograph.
interesting.
Yeah, it's a
Jillian
very,
Taylor?
yeah, very,
Okay, one
uh,
throwback.
yeah, it's a huge throwback.
I love the
There's,
actress that plays her. She was on Seventh
yes.
Heaven. Like,
Oh, yes, that's right. She played
she
the mom in
was
Seventh Heavens.
his
Yeah.
mom. Okay.
I remember that. There's also the Star Trek autograph pin with David Ajala and
Okay.
Cleveland Booker, and there's Grudge on there with him.
Oh,
Um, we've got the new Command Deltas from Discovery and a whole bunch more. So head on over to fansets.com, put a bunch of pins into your basket, and if you use the code TrekGeeks at checkout, you're going to get 10% off your order. And if you spend more than $30, you're going to get free shipping in the US. And we want to thank Fansets for being the sponsor of Deep Space Pride and the Trek Geeks Podcast Network.
thanks, Vinsets. All right. Well, if you want to reach us via social media or email, or you have any questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to us via social on Instagram and Twitter, X. I'm like, what do we call it now? I always forget.
I don't even
Uh,
know because I haven't been on either platform. And I love so it's funny. A lot
You've
of
been
people
on
probably
Instagram. What are you talking about?
no on Twitter.
Oh, Twitter.
Someone who I know they call it Twitter on purpose because and they use the term they're dead naming Twitter. So
Oh, that's really funny.
so
Oh my
anything
gosh.
anything to put stick it to the man who owns that platform.
Oh, Elon. Yeah, I'm sure that he cares.
Oh yeah, no,
I'm sure that he
whatever.
cares.
No, I have
Hey,
not been on that platform in quite some time, so I have no idea. Hopefully,
well, he
hopefully people reach us on Instagram because that's really all I check these days.
well, Elon Musk is enshrined in Discovery because he gets that call
Uh,
out in season one.
yeah.
So,
Oh
wait,
well.
what did Lorca say? Like, don't you want to be member like the Wright brothers, Elon Musk? I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, why?
Yeah. Well, that was
No,
before he went
that was
crazy, right,
before.
or whatever.
But that's why like, like when we like try to incorporate the contemporary shit into like Star Trek or honestly any
Sure.
sci-fi, it's always like a little, I don't know.
Uh,
In any case,
Never know how it's
um
gonna age.
you
But
never
anyway.
know. But anyway, yes, you can reach us on Twitter/X maybe and Instagram at DSpacePride. And you can also email us at dspacepride@gmail.com.
There you go.
There we go.
All right, 4 more episodes of Discovery to go.
I don't
We'll
know when
probably
we're
be
gonna next
back in a few weeks.
record,
I
but
don't
that's
know.
fine.
I don't know when we're gonna find time. I'm going on vacation, and yeah,
Well, I'm
I don't
seeing
know
my
when we're
mom
gonna.
next weekend for Mother's Day. That's right around the corner.
Oh, there we go. So
Yeah.
yeah, it
So,
may we may just be back for the end of Discovery and
oh my
cover
God.
the end of the show.
All right. Well, here we
Well,
are.
maybe by
Okay.
then, Paramount will have a new CEO and have some sort of leadership.
Okay.
It's
Let's,
unlikely. It's
God
unlikely.
willing.
No one's getting their hopes up about that.
I'm not holding
Um,
my breath, I think,
yeah, no, not at
so.
all. No. But anyway, uh, yeah, we'll look forward to talking more Discovery next time.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, everyone.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Deep Space Pride is a production of Coconut Media Works. Executive producers Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. For more great Star Trek discussion, discover the other shows of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network at trekgeeks.com or find us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.